Are you all set, Greg? You got your earphones on?
Yep.
Great. Want to keep things professional.
Nope.
Hey there, beer tubers. Welcome back
Yes.
to Maxwell Stars. Poor excuse for Beer Analysis 101. Thanks for helping me mess that up. Tonight, we're doing a very, very special beer. The return of Amsterdam's Tempest Imperial Stout is back for 2018. And we're glad to try it here on Beer Analysis, even though we got a small panel tonight. So first off, I'll introduce the panel. We've got Mr. Ashley Sexton, who's not last tonight, even though there's only 3 people.
Yeah, I'm not last because I changed my name, my channel name. So
You're not last? Oh, that's right, because you're Sexton Brewing and the B makes... All right. Yeah, I get it now. Yeah, all right.
Hello. How are you? I'm great. Thanks.
I'm not bad.
Let's go on.
Cool. All right, Greg, and how are you doing tonight, Mr. Beer Burglar?
I'm doing just fine, Nick. Looking forward to drinking this excellent brew, being very professional tonight. And
professional? You don't even have your baklava on.
It's a balaclava. Baklava the dessert, you. What is wrong with you? How many of these have you drank tonight?
Anyway, moving along to Tempest. I'm doing fine, by the way. Tempest Original Stout. Let's read the history. We've done Amsterdam on this beer analysis before. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but we'll do a recap to say that Amsterdam traces its origins to the Amsterdam Brasserie and Brew Pub, which was opened by Roel Brammer in September of 1986 in the Toronto Entertainment District. Brewery itself was opened in 1988, and the original pub closed in 1993, blah, blah, blah. Roel Brammer eventually sold to current owner Jeff Carefoot in 2002. So, Amsterdam's Tempest Imperial Stout is a 9% ABV. Is it still 9? Yeah, it's still 9. 100 IBU Russian Imperial Stout brewed with rye, wheat, oats, and roasted barley with Warrior, Centennial, and Cascade hops. Brewed originally in 2011 with a limited brewery-only release, Tempest was given a full release to LCBOs province-wide in 2012, followed by available outside Ontario in 2013 and 14 before being discontinued for a few years, returning this year. Tempest has won several awards, including silver at the 2011 Ontario Brewing Awards and bronze at the 2013 Canadian Brewing Awards. Amsterdam has also brewed a special double Tempest with the malt and hops doubled up, then barrel-aged for an extended period of time. It's not tonight's beer, obviously, but it's worth mentioning because it's kind of like Tempest. It was first released in 2013. This brewery-only release of the beer in November has become known as Double Tempest Day and is one of the most anticipated yearly releases in the Ontario craft brewing scene. Most recently, the 2018 release of Double Tempest spent 7 months aging in Woodford Reserve double oak bourbon barrels. That's a mouthful. All right. Yeah, so, I mean, we're not doing Double Tempest, obviously, but we're doing the base beer for it, which is equally awesome. But let's move right along to history of, well, we might as well stick with the history of Tempest, because I imagine all of us have had it before. Maybe a certain someone who making appearance hasn't had it before, but we'll get to that later. All right, Mr. Ashley Sexton, what's your history with Amsterdam or Tempest?
Well, Tempest itself I've never actually had, nor have I ever had double. No, I don't think I've ever had double, unless you brought it to the...
It was at the bottle share this year, so you may have had it. You probably don't remember because it was brought out towards the end of the evening.
Yeah, I was probably passing on the doubles, like on the exceptionally high ABV stuff at that point because I was driving, and I do not drive drunk. So, yeah, I've never had Tempest. Obviously, I've had plenty of Amsterdam beers. Don't go out of my way to get them. But you know what? We did that review of Bone Shaker not too long ago. I enjoyed that. So, yeah. Anyways, I'm actually looking forward to this. I haven't had like a big boozy beer like in a while. So, yeah. Now, quick question though. So, if Tempest is 9%, what's the ABV on Double Tempest?
Currently it's 11.9.
Oh wow!
It's been as high as 15%, and okay. I think there's some suspicion along with some other high ABV beers, to meet Ontario laws, they label their beers as 11.9, but they perhaps are a little bit higher.
Gotcha.
And because they're special releases, they don't really stick around long enough for anyone to check.
Yeah. Sure.
But maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. Who knows?
Well, so I have no awesome history with this beer. Sorry.
That's all right. Okay, and before we move to Greg, I'm going to go to our special virtual presence machine where we have a guest appearance from Jamie of Basement Beer Review. Okay, hit it, Jamie.
Hey, Nick. Just doing my history of beer. You can see I have the oven there for 375. I've never had it before, so I'm, of course, doing the tall warm-up. Got it nice and piping hot here. Let's see if I can open it. That's hot. Oof. Yeah, so I've never had it before. Got about an 8-finger of head there. And I'll let you know how it turns out later. Cheers.
Right on. And Greg, tell your dog to stop.
Yo. Hey. No drinking.
Yeah, you might as well keep talking there, Greg. Go ahead. What's your history? I know you've got the most extensive history of all of us when it comes to this and its derivatives.
Yeah, at least one of us has studied for this thing, like the rest of you slackers. Well, according to Untapped, I've had every single vintage since 2011, although I think that might be incorrect. I don't think I ever had 2011. I think 2012 was the first one I had. And that was back when I didn't really care for stouts, but I just wanted to try it because it was already, it's hyped. And it was a brewery only release. If you didn't buy it the day of, you didn't get it, blah, blah, blah. So I got it. I didn't like it that much, but I didn't really like stouts. Oh, for fuck's sake. You'll get your toy back when we're done this beer analysis. You are being incredibly unprofessional. Anyways.
There you go, Greg.
Pardon that unprofessional dog of mine. So yeah, I've had every single vintage base for sure since 2012. I used to buy quite a few of them, and I used to do verticals. Unfortunately, I ran out of those to do verticals when they stopped releasing this in 16 and 17. I think I did my last vertical last year of 14, 15, maybe 13. And it's always been one of my favorite stouts. It's not readily available. It used to be a fairly wide winter release that you could usually get it throughout the winter months. Now, unfortunately, you can only get it in the 4-packs. Otherwise, I would probably hoard this and buy like 12 of them because I'm not going to say what I think of it, but there is a reason I would buy 12 of them.
Spoilers.
So I don't know. Every year this one changes a little bit. Like some years it's been a little hoppier. Like I think 13, it was almost like a black IPA. I don't think that was intentional. I think that's just sort of how it came out. But yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to say about it. I love this. I'm spoiling. I love Double Tempest, and I love beers associated with Double Tempest. Let's say that.
Fair enough. So my personal history with it is that I'm sitting right next to me. I've got a 2013 bottle that I still have from 2013, and I don't think I've ever. Shut up. All right. I don't think I've ever reviewed the 2013 batch, so maybe that'll appear at some point. I did review the Double Tempest, the 2014 Double Tempest, because Greg brought it to Chad's house for the second year of the Albino Rhino Beer Fest. And again, you brought a Double Tempest up to this year too. The one you brought, Greg, was that an 18?
No, 18 wasn't out then. They come out in November. No, Nick, you've had a 14, a 15. I'm pretty sure I brought one every year to the Beer Fest. So I'm pretty sure you've had a 14, a 15, a 16, and a 17. Has it been 4 years? I don't know how many years. Unless I skipped the year or brought a different vintage one year. I can't remember, but
I'd have to look. Just ignore it.
Unprofessional.
So unprofessional.
Well, we're not exactly a class act here anymore, so yeah, I mean, I'm taking a look to see if I can find how many beers have I had from Amsterdam? 17, apparently. So should have been more specific. Okay. Moving right along. So I'm pretty sure I had as far as Tempest goes, I've had the base Tempest. I've had the 13 and the 14. And I don't remember much about the 14 except for that I really liked it. I know that the 2013 was pretty solid the year that I had it too, but I don't want to give too much into my thoughts on this one before we get into it. But before we continue, we might as well go ahead and read some comments. And you know what? Considering you've been nice to me lately, Greg, go ahead and read them.
Oh, dear God, I'm not prepared. I didn't know you'd give me this. Give me 2 seconds. I'll find them.
There's only 3 comments there.
Oh,
anyway.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Oh, this is good. Okay, Sexton Brewing says, hello, viewers. Then Raining on Your Parade says, sorry if I missed it, but is this the same brewery as New Amsterdam? I believe the answer is no.
No. I think New Amsterdam's an American brewery, isn't it?
I believe that is correct. Raining on Your Parade says, I think I have seen that can. Might have looked for it if Nick would have given me more notice.
It had a week.
Yeah, Nick gave you a week. You need more than a week? What, are you blind and without access to a vehicle?
Oh, man. Okay. So, yeah, so hopefully we've had enough. Yeah, like Amsterdam Brewing is in Toronto. So I don't know if there's actually a New Amsterdam. Apparently there is one in New York, New Amsterdam Brewing, which would make sense because it used to be called New Amsterdam back when the Dutch still had the city.
Oh, Nick,
that wasn't yesterday.
The more you know, history edition.
The more you know. All right, let's move along to. We might as well move into final thoughts. I don't think this is really a beer that's going to keep our brains bending on what we think of it. So I'll give you a go ahead to say something there, Ash.
It's trash. It's just trash.
Garbage 9-4.
Yeah, I'm joking. This is really good. So I love when I poured it, and you got this like super rich, dark looking I don't even know how to characterize the brown. It's just that nice dark brown color. It was just very inviting. It actually looked like icing on top of a cake. It was like so fluffy and dark and decadent looking. You do get a little bit of the what was it, a Centennial and Cascade hops that they used in this. I don't know if those are the ones that they use, but you definitely get just an ever so slight like citrus like twang on the aroma. Sort of carries through a touch on the sip, but you know when you drink it, you're just getting this mouthful of like rich malts.
It's Warrior, Centennial, and Cascade.
Warrior, Centennial, Cascade, yeah. So yeah, you're just getting this just mouthful of rich malts, nicely balanced with the bittering component, probably from the Warrior hops there. Yeah, nice beer for 9%. There's zero burn whatsoever. I mean, this isn't like room temperature. It's not cold. It's been sitting out for about a half hour now. But yeah, there's no burn on it whatsoever. At least not from this vintage. And this was canned K2518, so that's November 25th, 2018. So this is probably it's super fresh.
Nice.
Not that it matters. But yeah, just a real lovely beer. Something that I probably should sit down and enjoy over a period of an hour or something like that. But I'll probably drink it in like 10 minutes. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm surprised. I've never been a huge fan of Amsterdam Brewery. Ever since I went to their brewery, and my cousin and his friend and I, we ordered like 3 different flights, and the waiter just fucked them all up, got them all out of order, and we had to sit there for 20 minutes and just try to figure out what the hell we were drinking. So fuck that, Amsterdam. But this is a very tasty Imperial Stout. It's everything you want in it. It's rich, it's decadent, it's bold, doesn't have any burn, and yeah, it's a high ABV, so you're pretty shittered pretty quick. So yeah, I'm gonna say, for all things considered, if I'm looking at personal enjoyment, I'm gonna give this a 9.25. I enjoy this quite a bit. For style, I'm gonna sit it at a 9. I don't know maybe there's like something I'm looking for that's not present. I don't know. Maybe a little bit more chocolate. I don't know. It just doesn't feel like a 10 for style to me. But so I'll give it a 9. A 9 for style and a 9.25 for personal enjoyment.
Nice. Well said. But yeah, I get the warrior thing. I'll talk about it a bit later, but okay. So let's go back to Jamie, who's on the virtual presence machine.
Okay, next, so I'm just finishing up the Tempest Imperial Stout from Amsterdam. Highly enjoyable beer. I liked the taste throughout. It almost had more of an aftertaste than taste, if that makes any sense. My stupid palate, don't listen to me. But not watery. It pairs well with pickles, your stronger mustards, like your Dijon mustards, schnitzel, hot dogs, things like that. Basically goes with everything. Buy the beer. It's a good one. 8.5 all around. Hope you guys have a good night. Tempest.
True Jamie style. All right, now that we've heard from him, let's go over to Greg, because we're all curious about hearing what Greg, raves about this beer, considering it's like, I'm pretty sure he's got this on IV drip some nights.
Well, thank God that the dog is more or less passed out, so that we can maybe do a somewhat professional review.
No slurping.
So this beer to me is a great example of what Amsterdam can do when they actually try, because Amsterdam, I think most people kind of think they're a shitty brewery. And I'm not surprised, because a lot of the stuff they come out with is pretty shitty. I mean, we did Amsterdam. We did Amsterdam Bone Shaker a few months back, and I thought that did pretty well. I thought that was a great example. I mean, Space Invader, which is another one in this pack, which I don't know if we're going to end up doing or not, but that's another good example. Double Tempest, and this. Those are all great examples of beers they make. And they have a lot of brewery-only releases, but no one gets to really try those unless you're really close by and you try them a lot. But this to me is something special. This is just such a delicious beer, and there's nothing fancy to it. It's not barrel aged, it's not cognac aged, it doesn't have any adjuncts that I'm aware of. And it's just so well balanced. It's got a nice amount of bitterness. It's actually, I think, for an Imperial Stout, for me, it's almost a tad towards the black IPA. It's not quite that bitter, but it's almost leaning towards that way, which I actually like, because I love black IPAs, especially Imperial black IPAs. Like Jamie said, it's smooth. Like you could drink this like a 5% beer, not even know it. Like if you gave me 3 of these, said enjoy, I would down them within 15 minutes, and then I'd probably pee myself. I mean, what can be said? I mean, it's just got the right amount of coffee. It's got pretty much as much chocolate as I'd sort of expect from a beer that doesn't actually have a chocolate adjunct in it. And to me, what this is also a great example of is that I love the Double Tempest too, but it's a very different beer than this. It's so bourbon dominant, and you miss out on a lot of these stout flavors. And that's why some people, like, especially the real whale hunters that are out there going, oh, if a beer's not barrel aged, how can it be good? It doesn't make sense. And the fact is that this can live alongside Double Tempest very well, because it's a very different beer. And I don't necessarily think it's a worse beer. I think it's a different beer, and both are amazing. So I'm going, I could nitpick it, but I'm not going to bother. It's a 10 on style, 10 on personal preference for me. 10 all around.
Oh. 10. Yeah, they go along with you're talking about, like, this is a different beer than the other. It's kind of like the comparison of, like, Nickelbrook's Bolshevik Bastard to, like, Kentucky Bastard or one of those derivatives. I mean, when they do stuff like that, it becomes almost a different beer. And the base beer, though, is nothing to snuff at, nothing to sneeze at either. I mean, Nickelbrook's Bolshevik Bastard, I wouldn't necessarily consider as good as this. right now I'm drinking it here with the bitterness on it. You can definitely tell she's fresh, and I am picking up those warrior hops in it because that's predominantly the IPA, the IPA. That's predominantly the hop that they use in Propeller's IPA from Nova Scotia, which is one of my favorite IPAs. So it's, I definitely get that resiny kind of pithy grapefruit taste to it, orange zest taste to it. But it's lacking not that complex, but I'm just trying to describe what that tastes like, and I do get that little bit of note of that, and it's also quite bitter. But underlying that, it's a nice semi-syrupy chocolate roasted bitterness that just is so smooth and creamy going down. And another indication is, of course, look at the gorgeous lacing that beer leaves. And another thing I think was it Greg or Ashley that said it, but yeah, it's what Amsterdam can do when they try. Like the first time I ever had a beer from Amsterdam, it was like the Amsterdam 86 or something, their calorie reduced light lager or something. Like, there was a horrible beer. It tasted like drinking the juice out of a can of mushrooms. It was just terrible. And for the longest time, I didn't really have a great opinion of Amsterdam, because the only things I'd tried were like their blonde lager or their. I didn't think the 3-wheel amber was all that bad. Excuse me, all that bad. But it wasn't until like I tried this or the Springbok or the orange Weiss, I think it was, or the Framboise, until I really discovered that Amsterdam knows what they're doing when they try. But in this one here, this outside of Double Tempest, which I consider that bottle of 2014 Double Tempest to be one of the best beers I've ever had. It scores up there at a high 4.75, I think, out of 5 in my channel reviews scale. Just like Pliny the Elder and West Flutter 12. That beer was damn near perfection. And this one here, I don't like this one as much, obviously, but I do find that is a solid entry for a Russian Imperial Stout. They do a fine job on that. And even though they haven't brewed it in years, I would imagine that if you had a bunch of cans like that, you could age them for just as long as you could have done with something like that. And I'm still excited about cracking that open someday. I'm not doing it tonight. But the whole thought is that Amsterdam's Tempest hasn't lost anything for me. And if I recall correctly, I think the 2014 beer bottling wasn't as great. But this thing, 2018, is just solid. I recommend it highly. For an Russian Imperial Stout, I mean, I've had other Russian Imperial Stouts that kind of strike me, like ring that bell more for me lately. But I still think this is an 8 out of 10, and I'm still giving it an 8.5 out of for overall enjoyment. This is really nice. All right, I'm going to compile the scores, and I'll get anybody who's willing to read the comments or just talk for a bit, because I don't think anybody's. Oh, there are comments.
All right, well, let me read the comments then. Rainier Parade says, I thought it was the Fuller's Vintage. Have not seen the Vintage Ale in a long time anyway. It is Fuller's Vintage. Is it next week, Nick?
Yep.
Wait. No one's asked yet.
Nobody's asked yet.
No one's asked.
And that doesn't mean you don't count.
Yeah. Then some fella named the Beer Burglar says, I think Joe should wear a uniform. I think we can all agree with that. That's really solid advice.
Far off.
And then he goes on to say, what's next week's beer? Nick, what's next week's beer?
Considering that's your account, I said you didn't count.
That's real hurtful, Nick. And now everyone has seen online how hurtful you can be.
Yep.
Then some old fella named Teku Murray says, weird. This didn't show up in my feed. This review needs more Redbeard. Well, okay, if you can make Redbeard show up, I don't know. Like,
if you could somehow warp a can of Tempest to North Bay within
30 seconds.
Yep. Considering we're almost done here until I do up the graphics.
All right, well, next doing that. Nick, I gotta tell you, your reviews are very misleading. You're like praising something, saying how great it is. You're like, this is the best beer of all time. 8 out of 10.
Well, I mean, 8 out of 10 is a solid mark.
Yeah.
8 out of 10.
It still doesn't mean I hate the beer.
No.
8 out of 10. Dump it down the sink. Come on. That was off. I was like,
Fucking drain pour.
This
that was
isn't
like,
Darwin's like ranges.
that was like
It's hot garbage.
I remember a real classic albino rhino review where I think it was on a BDU and he was doing a live review of something. I don't remember what it was. And he literally was like, this beer's fantastic. This is an absolute beautiful beer. 6.5 out of 10. What? And although nobody could hear it on the review, he actually posted on YouTube because he had his thing muted. All of us on BDU are just giving him so much shit for it. It's like, it's a beautiful beer. 6.5 out of 10. Like, yeah. Oh, she found her toy.
I'm just sitting there like, I know what I want to say, but man, I'm not giving it a fucking 10.
I mean, I'm not saying give it a 10, but I mean, the way you reviewed it, I thought you'd at least be in the 9 territory. Have you ever given a beer a 10, Nick?
No, I've never given a beer a 10. I gave one beer a 10 for the style, but not for the overall enjoyment rating.
But I mean, like even on like your own channel, have you ever given a beer?
No, I've never given a
5 out
beer
of 5?
a 10. The closest, as I said, I didn't say this specifically. The closest 3 beers to getting a perfect score were Pliny the Elder, West Flutter in 12, and Amsterdam Double Tempest for the 2014 bottle. Which, oddly enough, saying that actually plays into tonight's episode of Beer Analysis. So, the Double Tempest, it was one of the best beers that I have ever had.
Basically, your scoring system leads me to believe that if God himself came down and brewed the most angelic beer known to man, you still would not give it a 10 out of 10.
No, it'd be like a 9.25.
That would be West Flutter in 12, I think. Or you really bring the Jesus into it.
Yeah.
See, my scoring system is very different. Like, to me, a 10 doesn't have to be perfect beer. It just has to be something I'd be very happy drinking probably every day for the rest of my life,
That would be the substitute for everything else that you consume in your life.
Oh, exactly. Same thing with women. A perfect 10 lady does not have to be the most attractive woman in the world. It just has to be that she's A, woman, and B, willing to mate me.
She's got titties.
That's a perfect 10. There we go.
Oh my God, yeah. There you go. Jesus.
You give me a hard time for giving it an 8 and an 8.5, but Jamie gives it 8.5s, and you don't give him any grief.
He's not here.
Because Jamie didn't make an impassionate speech about how good it was and then say, 8 out of 10.
He was pairing it with mustard and pickles. So.
Yeah, I mean, Jamie's review was basically a troll anyway. And we loved Jamie for it.
Well, yeah, which I'm okay with because at least he, got the beer.
And for the record,
and did something with it.
I wish I had a freaking schnitzel to go with this right now.
That would be awesome.
This is a very decadent beer. It's very rich and syrupy.
It is. And let's get down to the final marks for Tempest Imperial Stout, which is damn fine beer.
Wow.
I don't think quite as high as probably because I brought it down. Me and Jamie brought it down.
Yeah, you and Jamie. It was sort of split because me and Ashley both really liked it. And you guys kind of thought it was shit.
Yeah, you Ashley was like 9.5 and you gave it perfect 10.
I gave it 9 for style and 9.25 for overall enjoyment. So
something like that. Yeah, I know you guys brought it up, and
no, we didn't bring it up. You just dragged us down.
Yeah, well, look right here. I did drink it down. I'm the reason it didn't get 9s on both sides.
Nick, stop showing up.
I've had.
Thanks,
I don't want to down talk the beer. I love this, but it's just I've had better Russian Imperial Stouts, so I was like, I can't give it a 9. So I was like, that's solid. It's an 8. It's a little thin, to quote Paul.
You're a little thin, Nick.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not.
All right, well, let's finish up these comments since apparently we have a whole bunch of comments now.
Yeah, now they're
they finally decided to post now. What's going on?
Old Man Murray says Greg never breaking kayfabe. I don't know what that means. Does anyone else speak Old Man? Kayfabe.
Kayfabe.
Greg kayfabe.
Fabio.
Bob.
I don't know what that means. I don't know. Maybe it made sense a century ago. Then Eric Gilbert says, "Cheers, dude. Moosehead London Porter here."
Nice.
All right. Teku Murray says 8 out of 10 is shit on Dar's scale.
It is.
Well, first he says Dar's skate, but then he replaces it with scale. And Eric Gilbert says, or London Export Stout. I guess he doesn't know which one to drink or which one he's drinking.
Apparently, kayfabe is a wrestling term.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's for the portrayal of staged events with the industry, or which are real or true. So stuff that don't fake, they call it kayfabe.
Oh, you totally busted out the source for that one.
Yeah, no, I googled it. Anyway,
then Redbeard says, "Hey all, hello Redbeard. Too bad you didn't join us." And Eric Gilbert says, "It's a little thin. OMG." Okay. So
which
apparently,
beer?
apparently I don't count. So nobody's. We're not allowed to say what next week's beer is because apparently nobody's asked.
Well, nobody's asked. I was thinking, like, you know what? Fuck it. Beer Brewery will ask what's next week's beer. We're gonna say
it.
Because next week is the year end for Beer Analysis 101. We got a very special beer, and it was already kind of alluded to if you watched my unboxing video from Lee. But we're gonna do Fuller's Vintage Ale. And most of us are going to get that. If you want to come on, the guys that usually come on, we're going to stick with 2018. But if all you have is a previous year, we'll allow that too, kind of thing.
We'll allow it. You will
allow it.
Oh, Nick's not
because I might have some special news for next weekend, but I'm working on it. So I know that
Nick's pregnant.
What I will say is the planned episode for this Friday to do Don's Choice has been postponed. So we might be doing that next week instead of this week. I got to talk to Don. I know he can't make it Friday, so we can't do it, which sucks because I wanted to do it. Because that would be awesome to have Don's Choice on Beer Analysis. Eric Gilbert says all stouts are a bit thin, and that's somewhat accurate. Anyway, I think this is wearing a little thin.
Oh, good segue.
So I think we're gonna go offline so we can let Redbeard in, and we're gonna. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Jamie for doing that the gag video virtual presence shit, and I want to thank Ashley and Greg for coming on. I'm glad you guys actually went to your LCBOs and bought the beer.
I not only bought this, I bought the other 3 in the pack.
Ooh, well, you know what? There's not a whole lot to complain about. I mean, Space Invader and Bone Shaker are really good too. And
actually, you know what? What I will say is that all 4 beers in that pack. Well, I haven't checked the Pilsner yet, but Space Invaders was really fresh. Oh my god,
really fresh.
Yeah, really fresh. So I actually enjoyed Space Invaders. I was really surprised. I was because I'm always ready to shit on top of Amsterdam.
I didn't. I mean, I liked the Space Invaders, but I wasn't crazy for it. And of course, Bone Shaker's a staple, so the pills is still in the fridge. So if we ever decide to do a beer analysis, maybe I'll save it. Anyway, we're getting off topic here. Let's go talk about some after chat topics. We'll go live shortly with an after chat show as usual. Thanks for watching. We will talk to you folks later. Cheers.
Venus.